Et yo tout le monde, c'est Autogame. Aujourd'hui on se retrouve donc pour une nouvelle vidéo. Donc voilà donc les amis, aujourd'hui on se retrouve pour une nouvelle vidéo, tout simplement. Donc voilà, donc c'est juste une vidéo que je tourne à la suite de l'autre, mais vraiment juste à la suite. Donc voilà, j'ai choisi la quête et on va faire la quête d'argent, on va continuer. Et dans les prochains épisodes je ferai des autres quêtes, tout simplement. Donc bon visionnage à tous, et voilà, tout simplement. Et merci d'être là, de regarder les vidéos. Et j'espère aussi que vous allez bien. Voilà, enfin moi voilà, pour ceux qui se demanderaient peut-être, moi ça va, il n'y a pas de souci. Donc voilà, donc je vous laisse apprécier la vidéo.
I have gathered everyone here today to make an important announcement. Perhaps some of you will have heard the news already. I am, in fact, planning to rebuild the Jade Chamber.
Rebuild the Jade Chamber? That's a huge project.
So the rumors are true. No wonder the price of building materials has gone up so much lately.
The Jade Chamber means a lot to Lady Ningguang. Getting involved in this would... Lady Ningguang, is there any way we can be of service?
Patience. Since the news made it out a few days ago, I have already had many people contacting me to declare an interest in Nevertheless, I do have a few matters I should like to entrust to you here today. The building site has been chosen, and most of the materials have been assembled. 3 key items are, however, still... They are as follows: Sunset Vermilionite, Wonder Cores, and Adepti Sigils.
Excuse my ignorance, Lady Ningguang. I'm familiar enough with Plostrite, but I've never...
Only sufficiently large pieces of Plostrite, or specifically, Vermilionite, may earn themselves the Sunset moniker. This stone is what allows the Jade Chamber to float. One Adepti Sigils serve as a means of integrating the mechanical devices with Adepti art. They are as indispensable as... Although these 3 items are rare, I trust that with your connections and capabilities, procuring them will not be a question of if. I take the saying, time is money, more seriously than most. Efficiency is everything. I will pay a generous price for the materials that you find. You may ask me anything, and I will give you an honest answer.
These things won't be easy to get hold of. But if it means a chance to get some inside information on Liyue Harbor's development plan for next year...
Then it's the deal of a lifetime. Information from Lady Ningguang is priceless. Haha, what a coincidence. I won't divulge too much, but I heard some murmurings about some Plostrite just the other day.
No. We better move quickly, or this opportunity...
Ningguang's rebuilding the Jade Chamber? This is a huge deal!
So you heard my announcement, did you? What do you think? Interested? Yes. Providing the question pertains to something I am knowledgeable about.
Really? Ooh, the Paimon will ask you about how to run a business! Then we'll never be short of Mora ever again!
Of course. But how much information I share with you will depend on... The construction of the Jade Chamber requires a great deal of space. The abandoned mine outside the Golden House has been selected as the building site. Once you have collected the materials, please, take them. I have other business to attend to now. Otherwise, I would gladly escort you to the site in person. Remember, this is a race against the clock. A rare opportunity presents itself to you.
Ningguang's super busy. Come on, we better get going. First, we gotta get out of Eugene Terrace. Huh? Look! It seems like there's something kind of fishy.
Ma'am, you seem like an eminent and distinguished young lady to me. I can see that you're easily gonna win this procurement as it happens. We have some information about the materials that I really think might...
No, I don't need it.
Ah, don't be like that. Hey, why don't you stand there after her? Oh, right, yeah.
useful information. Information's just what we need right now. Let's follow them and see what we can find out.
Ah, children, come, come. You've arrived at just the right moment. I've been looking for you.
Oh, what is it, Granny? Need any help?
Oh, no, no. You've done so much for Liyue Harbor already. I could hardly... In fact, my old friends and I have been putting our heads together to think of...
A gift? For Paimon?
Oh, child, you are so very modest. Uncommonly so, even. But when you traversed my old teapot in search of the cleansing bell, I heard your little friend mention that you often camp out in the wilds. That simply won't do. Especially since I imagine you still have... Fortunately, I have not yet grown so old as to see my subspace crew. Oh, did my friends never mention that to you? Well then, it is a blessing we old folks once received from Rex Lapis. Part of our... I will not go into too much detail, but subspace creation is the ability to create a small... The teapot that you entered previously was a little trinket created using that ability.
So, in the eyes of an adeptus, creating a magic teapot...
Oh, indeed, the teapot is nothing to boast of. One such as myself must depart from this realm to create a world of one's own. Rex Lapis, on the other hand, moved mountains and seas. That is... but that's enough nostalgia for now. The gift that I have prepared for you just requires a few final materials to add.
That's right! Finding stuff's what we're good at, after all.
Oh, settle down now, children. There's no need for you to go running hither and thither. What's more, I doubt that you would know how to find the materials I am searching for. Well, for starters, I require some shimmer soil from the banks of Dihua Marsh. You would have to dig downward, following the roots of the glazed lilies. And but almost no one has been able to find shimmer soil in this manner since Dihua Marsh became even more difficult to find as smaragdus jadeite, which must be chiseled from the rock of the chasm. Or so it used to be. Ever since in any case, smaragdus jadeite is an adepti treasure, and the adeptal power within is not something that most humans can withstand. Extended contact with it is, in fact... goodness knows if that child will succeed in finding these items.
Well, since you're an adeptus, Granny, the person you asked for help...
Yes. I suppose she does count as an adept.
She counts? How come there are so many adepti in Liyue Harbor? We seem to bump into them all the time. It feels like...
Oh, maybe so. Who can say? A fair few of my old friends are rather fond of mundane mortal life, after all.
I'm back, Granny. Oh, I don't believe we've met.
Ah, allow me to do the honors. This child here is Yen Fei. She's the one helping run Yen Fei. I believe you already heard of the traveler and his
Of course, who hasn't? Much has been written about you in the Millilith's records. You became one of Liyue's most wanted after the Millilith marked you as a suspect following the incident at the Rite of Dissension. After which, you fought off the Millilith at Julian Karst before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion. A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately, but it certainly would have been less. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yenfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal problem? You can come right to me. Oh, yes, here's my business card. You'll find it has my contact details and office address. Keep it if you have an urgent issue. Just leave me a note at this address. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I offer a very generous discount for
All right, Yanfei, all right. Let's get to the business at hand. I do not think you'll have to excuse Yanfei. She's always been like this. Ever the talkative one when it comes to...
Paimon was gonna ask the same question.
An Adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time. And then after that was all over, he went back and married my mom. They had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving me with Granny here.
Well, that's a bit casual for an Adeptus. Aren't you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts to protect Liyue Harbor and all that stuff? What do you mean he just went back to get married?
Well, my dad did say that he talked it through with Rex Lapis, and that he was fine with it. Even contributed towards the wedding gift, apparently. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, Granny, I've gotten a hold of most of the stuff you asked for,
Is that so? But Smaragdus, Yanfei, are you sure you can't find some other way? They have helped Liyue greatly, after all.
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still... Hold on a moment.
Whoa, that's a really thick book. What kind of...
Commercial consultancy. Or... Snezhnaya Krusel. A Snezhnayan merchant who once came to me with some legal... He mentioned that he was considering acquiring some Smaragdus jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal ramifications that he should be aware of. So, I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck, he'll have gotten his hands on some Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just stand by and watch. If you try to get involved, you'll only risk...
Wow, an Adeptus imploring us to avoid best we be a little more careful than usual, what?
Oui, une question à poser. Pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a tant de dialogue, tant de dialogue, tant de choses à dire, etc. dans ce jeu. Pourquoi? J'aimerais bien savoir. Je suis pas contre les dialogues, il n'y a pas de souci, mais ça reste quand même un jeu d'aventure.
Hello, Mr. Crossell. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei. What brings you here today?
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking to source some...
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end I did acquire a small piece. Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize, I've already rented them out to a lady named Jiao. If you'd like to inspect them, you...
Wait, isn't Smaragdus jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting damaged or lost while they're being...
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Miss Jiao before renting them to her. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full original value. In return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by me to Ms. Jiao in the event that it is shown to be a fake.
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false? Yes, these terms are very clear indeed.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need. To ensure fairness, each of us has retained an original...
In that case, might you know where Miss Jiao lives? We'd like to pay her...
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossell. We'll be off now.
Ok. Parfait. Ok, donc il y a une fille qui est une adepte. Ok, bon. Hop là. Donc ça c'est les invitations pour le multijoueur. Pour ceux qui ne sauront peut-être pas, mais c'est des invitations, enfin de deux gens qui veulent nous voir aussi. Qui veulent nous avoir avec eux.
Whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help you with?
How do you do, Monsieur Chow? We understand from Mr. Crossell that you recently rented a pair of hair. My associates and I are very interested in them. Would you mind letting us take a look at them?
The hairpins. I can't lend them to you right now. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value, there's no way I could come up with that amount of... My family is in the ore business too, but business has been suffering ever since the chasm was sealed off. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase some stock from other ore merchants to complete them. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to mingle and discuss prices. That's what the hairpins were for, to keep up appearances. I can't have them looking down on it, but now that I've lost the hairpins...
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of déjà vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Monsieur Chow, would you let me have a look at the rental contract you signed?
Huh? Well, I'm sure I have it right here.
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help Juqiao somehow. True. Though surely there must be a win-win solution.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crossell the original value of the hairpins. Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take current market prices into account. And given the rarity of Smaragdus jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation may end up being significantly
even higher. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Juqiao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpin.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we be in? Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding...
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check whether the jadeite is genuine, would there?
Please. Please, don't trouble yourselves over this. However much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants, after all. It's vital that we keep our word and respect our contracts. Now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossell in the dark any longer. I'll go and inform him.
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about the hair. So hold on a moment, Monsieur Chow. When you first touched the hairpins,
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstones set into the pins were... My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so I...
Smooth to the touch. Fine. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things.
Encore. Hop là.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Juqiao in tow, too, I see.
About that.
You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how expensive...
I'm sorry. Truly I am.
Mora? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hands on that smaragd? I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. Since Miss Yanfei is here, I suppose we can just have her estimate the...
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes. It was in fact genuine smaragdus jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course. Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10 times the value.
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow in compensation. Please.
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins? She'd better pay every last mora that they're worth.
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss with you. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.
Pourquoi? Le morceau est un arnaqueur, c'est ça? Qui est ici?
Miss Yunfei, what is this about? Are you...
No. What I wanted to talk about is, there is a chance that the ore inlaid on those hairpins may not be smaragdus
What do you mean? Are you implying that you...
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless, time-consuming errands for a living. Let's just say I made some deductions. I don't know if Granny told you this, but smaragdus jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental energy. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. And most certainly would not miss your chow. Did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpins were in your possession?
No, not at all. I felt perfectly...
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were elemental traces in Mr. Crossel's vicinity. If I have deduced correctly, he may still have the smaragdus jadeite in his possession.
If that's the case, we should go confront him right now and expose his dirt...
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. Eventually, he would find some argument to and then he'd throw the smaragdus jadeite into the sea the moment we were gone. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. He would lose nothing. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hairpins do actually...
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experience.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certain...
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with problems like this...
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow, can I ask you to please...
Huh? Does there have to be a contract for everything? Paimon can't even keep track. Feels like Yantei is even more concerned with them than a certain someone else we...
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written contract. Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will be glad to place this...
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now write your address here, and then sign on this page and I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink pad to make a hand...
This contract has so many pages!
Alright, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in the contract. Have a look through and let me know if you have any questions.
I've had a read through. Everything checks.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this.
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask.
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some smaragdus jadeite myself. I noticed strong traces of geo-energy around Mr. Crossel, so whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter. But either way, it's a lead. As long as we follow it, who knows? we might just be able to get our hands on some. Also, the idea of someone abusing the law to their advantage, I won't. But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... I've got it. Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his first
Ok. Je le veux. Non. Ah, c'est son contrat, ok.
Why, hello there, honored customers. Surely not more spurious claims that...
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnine merchant named Crossell enlisted your ore processing services recently by any...
A Snezhnayan merchant named Crossell. I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore, claiming that that was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really Smaragdus jadeite or not. But if a customer insists, far be it from me to contradict them. He was quite generous with his money, too, so I didn't give it too much thought. I processed the ore as per his request.
Do you have any leftover debris from your work on it?
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so I kept it...
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
What should I try this time?
If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patternings, yes. It's not particularly rare, nor is it especially valuable. I've heard it said that Smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite, though no one's ever proven it.
A thin layer of separation, huh?
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy. Smaragdus nephrite is an entirely ordinary ore.
Is that so? Well, we might as well give El... So, did you find anything? So they really are different. But wait, how come Jichao is...
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great many of them. These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to... There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that translates to an astronomical difference in... And, I'm sure, a significant difference in the cost of having them carved into shape.
All right, let's focus up. We're going off on a tangent.
But, never mind, Shirto. Why would Mr...
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's take some of these...
Miss Yenfei?
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed claim that the ore he brought to your store was in fact Smaragdus
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record and these stone shavings?
Of course. But might I...
Oh, I have my reasons. Yes. Please sign here on this affidavit. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the, ore that Mr. Crossell brought to your store.
Yes, I see. Forgive me for asking.
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir. I'll take these with...
This hard evidence to back us up? Crossell...
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient to build a case. If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry... Aha! Got it! Xingxi. She often helps people to find...
Well, that was quick. How come you know so many...
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contracts. And contracts, well, but the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. As such, legal advisors like myself...
So you help them make sense of the law?
Yes, well, that's no obstacle because...
You... meant?
You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a legal advisor's bread... Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like...
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's go look for Sing-Si.
Je dépasse un tout petit peu et on va voir un petit peu ce qu'il y a, ce qu'il en reste, etc. Bon, on va voir un petit peu ce qu'il y a et puis on verra tout ça par la suite.
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something happened?
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, of course. Has a merchant by the name of Crossel asked you to put him in contact?
Krosel. Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snezhnayan. The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find this order was on hold for a very long time. And only—
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence.
Miss Sing-Si, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossel commissioned you to find him a jewel smith, did he—
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to put this transaction on record with the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Mr. Krosel wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself. The item is called Smaragdus. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite. The document even has the official seal of the ministry on it.
Thank you, Sing-Si. Now, could you let—
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway. I take—
Nothing you need to worry about. Just a minor issue. I'll return your document as soon as I'm done with it. Thanks again.
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone or something?
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need.
The weirdo with the snake around his neck? What do you want to—
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that Smaragdus Jadeite is harmful to the human body. Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands, we can wrap this—
Ok. Moi ça me va. Oui, je pourrais me servir de mon clic droit plutôt que de me servir de ma touche gauche. C'est vrai.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for a— and if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well. Now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here?
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jadeite.
Smaragdus Jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th commentary. The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to— It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality and their illness will only ever get worse. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific nature of your question, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baiju.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would admit, but after I gave him my reply, I wonder, Miss Yenfei.
You needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baiju. Thank you for penning us.
You're too kind. Take care.
That Baiju guy is as weird as ever.
Alors lui,
Is it just time?
il est vraiment
Does it
mal.
feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossel.
Voilà. Oh bah nickel.
Miss Yenfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to—
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded. I can now provide a final—
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you—
Of course. According to Mr. Crossell, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely.
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid within the smaragdus jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like this. I spent a huge sum to obtain that smaragdus jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is somehow fake? I demand—
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the process. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner should touch.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between smaragdus jadeite and smaragdus nephrite. How does this prove anything? In any case, smaragdus nephrite is the outer layer of smaragdus jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite, he returned the valuable jadeite core to me, and some nephrite samples remain in the store. What?
That's an unsubstantiated belief.
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we are here to talk about evidence.
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all.
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have just the thing. Show him, traveler.
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all. It shows that the ore inlaid on the—
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either.
You know, you could be right.
Of course I'm right. All the evidence—
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence. Traveler, would you do the honors? This shall serve.
What's this?
Smaragdus jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with smaragdus jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild mouth. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these peculiar properties of smaragdus jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a— I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient, considering that, as you say, you were ignorant of the— Don't worry, Mr. Crossell. I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will be handed over to— I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossell. But if—
Huh? No, I—
aren't actually inlaid with genuine smaragdus jadeite? Is that what you were about to say? You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original— Mr. Crossell, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
He's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was— But I'm a victim in all of this, too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of smaragd, but after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I couldn't sleep a wink or eat a single bite. I went to the pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that this sort of stone cannot be worn as jewelry. But how could I let all that money go to waste? That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from smaragdus nephrite, which is almost indistinguishable from smaragdus jadeite. I kept the real smaragdus jadeite in a specially made box. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them.
Exactly. If they weren't the real deal, why'd you make her pay so much?
I didn't want to either. But when I purchased that smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching closely to see how much I could make off it. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then—
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my client. According to—
10 times.
Crusoe looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Mr. Chow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that Smaragdus jade.
There's no need. Even if the Smaragdus jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them. Legally or not, I think I owe...
Ms. Jichao.
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead?
What? But I... Alright then. This cursed rock's
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn this Smaragdus jadeite over to you.
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit and express my thanks more appropriately.
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this again.
Well, yes, I believe we have.
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no...
Is that so?
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business, and we have a fair stock of fine ores. If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ores, I think we could...
Let me think for a moment.
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the place for it. But this time, you managed to solve the problem, even though the solution didn't involve...
The right solution depends on your perspective. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking at an adeptus... Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? In which case, you would have heard what Granny said. Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor in any case. Don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than...
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reason.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet you...
Returned. How did it go? Good, good. Then we have all the material.
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of clients waiting for me back at the office.
Oh, you. All right, then. Go see to your business.
I'm off then. Bye. Oh, yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business card I gave you. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me directly. Regulars get discounts, too.
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish to leave, perhaps you'd like to help me clean...
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Her father was hardly so riotous or fond... Indeed she is. Liyue Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the most intimately acquainted with the city among... Liyue is not the same place I want. All right, then. Let us speak of this no more. Akon.
Oh, Paimon's so excited! How is it made?
It is but a single teapot. It shan't take... There we go. This Serenity pot is boarded firmly. If you were to drop it, oh goodness, who knows what... Take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need them if you wish to make your teapot a little more lively.
Wait a minute, Granny! How
You needn't worry about that. I've already arranged for a certain little helper to await you within this teapot.
D'accord. C'est bien. Bon. Voilà, donc les amis, donc moi je vous dis à la prochaine, tout simplement pour une nouvelle vidéo. Voilà, on continuera ça ensemble bien sûr. Donc voilà, j'espère que cet épisode vous aura plu. Donc si c'était le cas, n'hésitez pas à liker, commenter, partager, me dire ce que vous en avez pensé. Et puis voilà, merci d'avoir regardé. C'était totalement 2017. Salut tout le monde.